I usually wake up just before my alarm goes off, especially on weekdays. I usually wake up just before my alarm goes off, especially on weekdays. This morning, I woke up feeling surprisingly refreshed and ready to start the day. This morning, I woke up feeling surprisingly refreshed and ready to start the day. I often wake up slowly and need a few minutes before I fully open my eyes. I often wake up slowly and need a few minutes before I fully open my eyes. My alarm woke me up earlier than I expected, which threw off my routine slightly. My alarm woke me up earlier than I expected, which threw off my routine slightly. I woke up to the sound of birds outside, which made the morning feel peaceful. I woke up to the sound of birds outside, which made the morning feel peaceful. Some days I wake up feeling full of energy, but today wasn't one of them. Some days I wake up feeling full of energy, but today wasn't one of them. I woke up and immediately checked the time to see if I could stay in bed longer. I woke up and immediately checked the time to see if I could stay in bed longer. It took me a while to wake up properly because I went to bed quite late. It took me a while to wake up properly because I went to bed quite late. I woke up feeling a bit groggy, so I stayed in bed for a few extra minutes. I woke up feeling a bit groggy, so I stayed in bed for a few extra minutes. As soon as I woke up, I realised I had quite a busy day ahead of me. As soon as I woke up, I realised I had quite a busy day ahead of me. I slowly got out of bed and stretched to wake my body up properly. I slowly got out of bed and stretched to wake my body up properly. Getting out of bed early can be difficult, especially during colder mornings. Getting out of bed early can be difficult, especially during colder mornings. I finally got out of bed after hitting the snooze button twice. I finally got out of bed after hitting the snooze button twice. I forced myself to get out of bed even though I still felt tired. I forced myself to get out of bed even though I still felt tired. I got out of bed straight away because I didn't want to be late. I got out of bed straight away because I didn't want to be late. It took me a bit of effort to get out of bed this morning. It took me a bit of effort to get out of bed this morning. I got out of bed and immediately started thinking about everything I had to do. I got out of bed and immediately started thinking about everything I had to do. I stayed in bed for a few minutes before eventually getting up. I stayed in bed for a few minutes before eventually getting up. I got out of bed quickly once I realised the time. I got out of bed quickly once I realised the time. I struggled to get out of bed because it was warm and comfortable. I struggled to get out of bed because it was warm and comfortable. The first thing I did was check my phone for messages and notifications. The first thing I did was check my phone for messages and notifications. I quickly looked at my phone to see if anyone had contacted me overnight. I quickly looked at my phone to see if anyone had contacted me overnight. I checked my emails as soon as I picked up my phone. I checked my emails as soon as I picked up my phone. I try not to check my phone immediately, but I usually end up doing it anyway. I try not to check my phone immediately, but I usually end up doing it anyway. I scrolled through social media for a few minutes before getting up. I scrolled through social media for a few minutes before getting up. I checked the weather on my phone to decide what to wear. I checked the weather on my phone to decide what to wear. I saw a few missed messages, so I replied before doing anything else. I saw a few missed messages, so I replied before doing anything else. I checked my phone and realized I had an important reminder for today. I checked my phone and realized I had an important reminder for today. I spent a bit too long on my phone before starting my morning properly. I spent a bit too long on my phone before starting my morning properly. I quickly checked the news headlines while still lying in bed. I quickly checked the news headlines while still lying in bed. I went straight to the bathroom to freshen up after getting out of bed. I went straight to the bathroom to freshen up after getting out of bed. I brushed my teeth and washed my face to wake myself up. I brushed my teeth and washed my face to wake myself up. I had a quick shower to feel more alert and ready for the day. I had a quick shower to feel more alert and ready for the day. I stood in front of the mirror for a moment, still half asleep. I stood in front of the mirror for a moment, still half asleep. I washed my face with cold water to help me feel more awake. I washed my face with cold water to help me feel more awake. I brushed my teeth carefully and made sure I didn't rush. I brushed my teeth carefully and made sure I didn't rush. I took a slightly longer shower than usual because I had extra time. I took a slightly longer shower than usual because I had extra time. I quickly got ready in the bathroom before moving on to the next task. I quickly got ready in the bathroom before moving on to the next task. I looked in the mirror and realized I still looked quite tired. I looked in the mirror and realized I still looked quite tired. I got through my usual bathroom routine without any rush. I got through my usual bathroom routine without any rush. I picked out something comfortable to wear for the day ahead. I picked out something comfortable to wear for the day ahead. I struggled to decide what to wear because the weather was unpredictable. I struggled to decide what to wear because the weather was unpredictable. I chose a simple outfit because I didn't want to overthink it. I chose a simple outfit because I didn't want to overthink it. I got dressed quickly as I didn't have much time to spare. I got dressed quickly as I didn't have much time to spare. I changed my mind about my outfit halfway through getting dressed. I changed my mind about my outfit halfway through getting dressed. I made sure to wear something suitable for the weather outside. I made sure to wear something suitable for the weather outside. I put on a warm jumper because it felt quite chilly this morning. I put on a warm jumper because it felt quite chilly this morning. I tried on a couple of outfits before deciding on the final one. I tried on a couple of outfits before deciding on the final one. I dressed casually since I didn't have any formal plans. I dressed casually since I didn't have any formal plans. I took my time getting dressed because I wasn't in a rush. I took my time getting dressed because I wasn't in a rush. I went to the kitchen and started preparing my breakfast. I went to the kitchen and started preparing my breakfast. I made myself a quick breakfast because I was short on time. I made myself a quick breakfast because I was short on time. I decided to make something simple and easy this morning. I decided to make something simple and easy this morning. I prepared a proper breakfast because I wanted to start the day well. I prepared a proper breakfast because I wanted to start the day well. I made a cup of tea while getting everything else ready. I made a cup of tea while getting everything else ready. I cooked something warm since it felt like a cold morning. I cooked something warm since it felt like a cold morning. I kept my breakfast light because I wasn't very hungry. I kept my breakfast light because I wasn't very hungry. I made more food than usual because I had a busy day ahead. I made more food than usual because I had a busy day ahead. I quickly put together something to eat before heading out. I quickly put together something to eat before heading out. I took my time preparing breakfast and enjoyed the process. I took my time preparing breakfast and enjoyed the process. I sat down and enjoyed my breakfast without rushing. I sat down and enjoyed my breakfast without rushing. I ate quickly because I needed to leave soon. I ate quickly because I needed to leave soon. I took a few minutes to relax while eating my breakfast. I took a few minutes to relax while eating my breakfast. I ate my breakfast while thinking about my plans for the day. I ate my breakfast while thinking about my plans for the day. I didn't eat much because I wasn't very hungry. I didn't eat much because I wasn't very hungry. I enjoyed a quiet moment while having my breakfast. I enjoyed a quiet moment while having my breakfast. I finished my breakfast and felt ready to get started. I finished my breakfast and felt ready to get started. I ate while checking my phone at the same time. I ate while checking my phone at the same time. I tried to eat slowly, but I ended up rushing anyway. I tried to eat slowly, but I ended up rushing anyway. I made sure to eat something before leaving the house. I made sure to eat something before leaving the house. I gathered everything I needed before leaving the house. I gathered everything I needed before leaving the house. I checked that I had my keys, phone, and wallet with me. I checked that I had my keys, phone, and wallet with me. I made sure everything was in order before heading out. I made sure everything was in order before heading out. I quickly packed my bag with the things I needed. I quickly packed my bag with the things I needed. I double-checked everything because I didn't want to forget anything. I double-checked everything because I didn't want to forget anything. I put on my shoes and got ready to leave. I put on my shoes and got ready to leave. I grabbed my jacket as I was about to head out. I grabbed my jacket as I was about to head out. I made sure I had everything before stepping outside. I made sure I had everything before stepping outside. I took one last look around before leaving the house. I took one last look around before leaving the house. I got ready to leave and headed towards the door. I got ready to leave and headed towards the door. I left the house and stepped into the fresh morning air. I left the house and stepped into the fresh morning air. I locked the door behind me before walking away. I locked the door behind me before walking away. I left the house feeling prepared for the day ahead. I left the house feeling prepared for the day ahead. I stepped outside and noticed how quiet everything was. I stepped outside and noticed how quiet everything was. I left the house slightly later than I had planned. I left the house slightly later than I had planned. I rushed out of the house because I was running late. I rushed out of the house because I was running late. I walked out calmly and took a deep breath. I walked out calmly and took a deep breath. I left the house and started thinking about my first task. I left the house and started thinking about my first task. I closed the door carefully and headed off. I closed the door carefully and headed off. I left the house and immediately picked up my pace. I left the house and immediately picked up my pace. I started my day feeling motivated and ready to be productive. I started my day feeling motivated and ready to be productive. I began the day by focusing on my most important task. I began the day by focusing on my most important task. I started working as soon as I arrived at my destination. I started working as soon as I arrived at my destination. I eased into the day rather than rushing straight into work. I eased into the day rather than rushing straight into work. I began the day with a clear plan in mind. I began the day with a clear plan in mind. I took a moment to organize my thoughts before starting. I took a moment to organize my thoughts before starting. I started the day feeling a bit tired but determined. I started the day feeling a bit tired but determined. I got straight into my routine without wasting any time. I got straight into my routine without wasting any time. I began my day by tackling something simple first. I began my day by tackling something simple first. I started the day feeling positive about what was ahead. I started the day feeling positive about what was ahead. I tend to stay calm when situations suddenly become stressful. I tend to stay calm when situations suddenly become stressful. I'm naturally curious about new ideas and different perspectives. I'm naturally curious about new ideas and different perspectives. I try to remain honest even when the truth feels uncomfortable. I try to remain honest even when the truth feels uncomfortable. I've developed strong patience through challenging personal experiences. I've developed strong patience through challenging personal experiences. I enjoy learning from people with completely different backgrounds. I enjoy learning from people with completely different backgrounds. I usually think carefully before making important decisions. I usually think carefully before making important decisions. I'm confident in my values and personal principles. I'm confident in my values and personal principles. I work hard to remain dependable in difficult circumstances. I work hard to remain dependable in difficult circumstances. I take responsibility for my actions and mistakes. I take responsibility for my actions and mistakes. I aim to improve myself a little every day. I aim to improve myself a little every day. I listen carefully before responding in serious conversations. I listen carefully before responding in serious conversations. I try to express my opinions clearly and respectfully. I try to express my opinions clearly and respectfully. I adapt my tone depending on the situation. I adapt my tone depending on the situation. I avoid interrupting others when they are speaking. I avoid interrupting others when they are speaking. I use humor to make social situations more relaxed. I use humor to make social situations more relaxed. I choose my words thoughtfully during sensitive discussions. I choose my words thoughtfully during sensitive discussions. I stay open-minded when hearing different viewpoints. I stay open-minded when hearing different viewpoints. I make an effort to understand people's emotions. I make an effort to understand people's emotions. I remain polite even when disagreements become tense. I remain polite even when disagreements become tense. I enjoy building strong connections through meaningful conversations. I enjoy building strong connections through meaningful conversations. I take deadlines seriously and organize my tasks carefully. I take deadlines seriously and organize my tasks carefully. I stay focused even when projects become demanding. I stay focused even when projects become demanding. I prepare thoroughly before starting important assignments. I prepare thoroughly before starting important assignments. I aim to deliver high quality work consistently. I aim to deliver high quality work consistently. I manage my time efficiently during busy periods. I manage my time efficiently during busy periods. I welcome constructive feedback to improve my performance. I welcome constructive feedback to improve my performance. I remain committed to meeting professional expectations. I remain committed to meeting professional expectations. I push myself to exceed basic requirements. I push myself to exceed basic requirements. I handle pressure without compromising accuracy. I handle pressure without compromising accuracy. I take pride in being reliable at work. I take pride in being reliable at work. I stay calm when unexpected problems suddenly appear. I stay calm when unexpected problems suddenly appear. I manage stress by planning my days carefully. I manage stress by planning my days carefully. I try to remain positive during difficult situations. I try to remain positive during difficult situations. I reflect on mistakes instead of blaming myself. I reflect on mistakes instead of blaming myself. I control my emotions when facing criticism. I control my emotions when facing criticism. I recover quickly after disappointing experiences. I recover quickly after disappointing experiences. I practice relaxation techniques to maintain balance. I practice relaxation techniques to maintain balance. I handle pressure without losing motivation. I handle pressure without losing motivation. I trust myself to cope with challenges. I trust myself to cope with challenges. I focus on solutions rather than worrying excessively. I focus on solutions rather than worrying excessively. I believe in my ability to learn from every experience. I believe in my ability to learn from every experience. I stay motivated by setting clear and realistic goals. I stay motivated by setting clear and realistic goals. I trust my instincts when making important decisions. I trust my instincts when making important decisions. I push myself to grow beyond my comfort zone. I push myself to grow beyond my comfort zone. I remind myself of past successes during difficult moments. I remind myself of past successes during difficult moments. I maintain confidence by preparing thoroughly for challenges. I maintain confidence by preparing thoroughly for challenges. I encourage myself to keep going despite setbacks. I encourage myself to keep going despite setbacks. I focus on progress rather than perfection. I focus on progress rather than perfection. I take pride in overcoming personal obstacles. I take pride in overcoming personal obstacles. I stay committed to achieving long-term success. I stay committed to achieving long-term success. I start most mornings by reviewing my daily priorities. I start most mornings by reviewing my daily priorities. I follow a consistent routine to stay productive. I follow a consistent routine to stay productive. I plan my schedule carefully the night before. I plan my schedule carefully the night before. I limit distractions when working on important tasks. I limit distractions when working on important tasks. I make time each day for physical activity. I make time each day for physical activity. I organize my workspace to improve concentration. I organize my workspace to improve concentration. I review my progress at the end of each day. I review my progress at the end of each day. I avoid procrastination by breaking tasks into smaller steps. I avoid procrastination by breaking tasks into smaller steps. I balance work responsibilities with personal time. I balance work responsibilities with personal time. I maintain healthy habits through self-discipline. I maintain healthy habits through self-discipline. I listen carefully when friends need emotional support. I listen carefully when friends need emotional support. I try to understand others before forming strong opinions. I try to understand others before forming strong opinions. I respect different viewpoints even when I disagree. I respect different viewpoints even when I disagree. I show appreciation for people who support me. I show appreciation for people who support me. I make an effort to stay in touch regularly. I make an effort to stay in touch regularly. I notice subtle changes in people's moods. I notice subtle changes in people's moods. I respond kindly during sensitive situations. I respond kindly during sensitive situations. I value trust and honesty in relationships. I value trust and honesty in relationships. I avoid judging people without knowing their full story. I avoid judging people without knowing their full story. I support others through both success and failure. I support others through both success and failure. I adjust quickly when plans suddenly change. I adjust quickly when plans suddenly change. I look for practical solutions during unexpected difficulties. I look for practical solutions during unexpected difficulties. I stay flexible when facing unfamiliar situations. I stay flexible when facing unfamiliar situations. I analyze problems carefully before taking action. I analyze problems carefully before taking action. I learn from setbacks instead of feeling discouraged. I learn from setbacks instead of feeling discouraged. I remain open to new approaches and ideas. I remain open to new approaches and ideas. I handle uncertainty with patience and confidence. I handle uncertainty with patience and confidence. I experiment with different strategies until something works. I experiment with different strategies until something works. I stay resourceful when resources are limited. I stay resourceful when resources are limited. I adapt my thinking to overcome obstacles. I adapt my thinking to overcome obstacles. I stand by my principles even in difficult situations. I stand by my principles even in difficult situations. I value honesty more than short-term personal advantage. I value honesty more than short-term personal advantage. I take responsibility for my choices and actions. I take responsibility for my choices and actions. I treat others fairly regardless of their background. I treat others fairly regardless of their background. I remain loyal to people who earn my trust. I remain loyal to people who earn my trust. I avoid compromising my values for quick success. I avoid compromising my values for quick success. I speak up when something feels wrong. I speak up when something feels wrong. I respect rules that protect everyone's well-being. I respect rules that protect everyone's well-being. I aim to act with integrity at all times. I aim to act with integrity at all times. I follow my conscience when making important decisions. I follow my conscience when making important decisions. I want to build a life filled with meaning and balance. I want to build a life filled with meaning and balance. I focus on long-term happiness rather than short-term pleasure. I focus on long-term happiness rather than short-term pleasure. I plan to continue learning throughout my entire life. I plan to continue learning throughout my entire life. I hope to leave a positive impact on others. I hope to leave a positive impact on others. I aim to maintain good health as I grow older. I aim to maintain good health as I grow older. I work towards personal fulfillment instead of external approval. I work towards personal fulfillment instead of external approval. I prioritize experiences over material possessions. I prioritize experiences over material possessions. I strive to live according to my deepest values. I strive to live according to my deepest values. I remain committed to continuous personal development. I remain committed to continuous personal development. I look forward to shaping my future with purpose. I look forward to shaping my future with purpose. I feel really happy today because everything seems to be going my way. I feel really happy today because everything seems to be going my way. I'm in a great mood after hearing that bit of good news this morning. I'm in a great mood after hearing that bit of good news this morning. I feel quite cheerful whenever I spend time with my close friends. I feel quite cheerful whenever I spend time with my close friends. I'm genuinely excited about what's coming next in my life. I'm genuinely excited about what's coming next in my life. I feel so content just sitting here and enjoying the moment. I feel so content just sitting here and enjoying the moment. I've been feeling optimistic lately about my future and my goals. I've been feeling optimistic lately about my future and my goals. I feel full of joy when I think about how far I've come. I feel full of joy when I think about how far I've come. I'm feeling upbeat today, even though the weather isn't great. I'm feeling upbeat today, even though the weather isn't great. I feel really proud of myself for not giving up earlier. I feel really proud of myself for not giving up earlier. I'm in such a positive mindset right now, and it feels amazing. I'm in such a positive mindset right now, and it feels amazing. I feel quite down today, and I can't really explain why. I feel quite down today, and I can't really explain why. I've been feeling a bit low ever since that conversation yesterday. I've been feeling a bit low ever since that conversation yesterday. I feel really upset about how everything turned out in the end. I feel really upset about how everything turned out in the end. I'm feeling emotionally drained after dealing with so much stress. I'm feeling emotionally drained after dealing with so much stress. I feel a deep sense of sadness that I can't seem to shake off. I feel a deep sense of sadness that I can't seem to shake off. I've been feeling a little lost lately and unsure about things. I've been feeling a little lost lately and unsure about things. I feel quite disappointed in myself for making that mistake. I feel quite disappointed in myself for making that mistake. I'm feeling a bit empty, like something is missing inside me. I'm feeling a bit empty, like something is missing inside me. I feel quite hurt by what was said, even if it wasn't intentional. I feel quite hurt by what was said, even if it wasn't intentional. I've been feeling heavy-hearted ever since I heard the news. I've been feeling heavy-hearted ever since I heard the news. I feel really annoyed when people don't listen properly. I feel really annoyed when people don't listen properly. I'm feeling quite frustrated because nothing is going as planned. I'm feeling quite frustrated because nothing is going as planned. I feel angry about the way I was treated earlier. I feel angry about the way I was treated earlier. I'm getting irritated by these constant interruptions. I'm getting irritated by these constant interruptions. I feel so fed up with repeating myself over and over again. I feel so fed up with repeating myself over and over again. I'm feeling tense because everything is starting to build up. I'm feeling tense because everything is starting to build up. I feel really bothered by how unfair that situation was. I feel really bothered by how unfair that situation was. I'm starting to lose my patience with this whole thing. I'm starting to lose my patience with this whole thing. I feel quite worked up after that argument we had. I feel quite worked up after that argument we had. I'm feeling frustrated with myself for not doing better. I'm feeling frustrated with myself for not doing better. I feel quite anxious about what might happen tomorrow. I feel quite anxious about what might happen tomorrow. I'm feeling nervous before the meeting, even though I've prepared. I'm feeling nervous before the meeting, even though I've prepared. I feel a bit on edge because I don't know what to expect. I feel a bit on edge because I don't know what to expect. I'm feeling uneasy about making such a big decision. I'm feeling uneasy about making such a big decision. I feel quite tense whenever I think about that situation. I feel quite tense whenever I think about that situation. I'm feeling worried about whether everything will go smoothly. I'm feeling worried about whether everything will go smoothly. I feel slightly overwhelmed with everything I need to do. I feel slightly overwhelmed with everything I need to do. I'm feeling restless because I can't stop thinking about it. I'm feeling restless because I can't stop thinking about it. I feel quite stressed trying to manage everything at once. I feel quite stressed trying to manage everything at once. I'm feeling a bit uneasy and I can't quite relax. I'm feeling a bit uneasy and I can't quite relax. I feel completely drained after such a long and busy day. I feel completely drained after such a long and busy day. I'm feeling really tired because I didn't sleep well last night. I'm feeling really tired because I didn't sleep well last night. I feel exhausted from trying to keep up with everything. I feel exhausted from trying to keep up with everything. I'm feeling worn out after all that physical activity. I'm feeling worn out after all that physical activity. I feel mentally tired from thinking about the same problem. I feel mentally tired from thinking about the same problem. I'm feeling sluggish today and I can't seem to focus. I'm feeling sluggish today and I can't seem to focus. I feel completely burnt out from working non-stop. I feel completely burnt out from working non-stop. I'm feeling low on energy and just want to rest. I'm feeling low on energy and just want to rest. I feel really fatigued after dealing with so much pressure. I feel really fatigued after dealing with so much pressure. I'm feeling drained both physically and mentally right now. I'm feeling drained both physically and mentally right now. I feel really excited about the opportunity that just came up. I feel really excited about the opportunity that just came up. I'm feeling full of energy and ready to take on the day. I'm feeling full of energy and ready to take on the day. I feel thrilled about what's about to happen next. I feel thrilled about what's about to happen next. I'm feeling motivated to push myself even further. I'm feeling motivated to push myself even further. I feel a burst of excitement whenever I think about it. I feel a burst of excitement whenever I think about it. I'm feeling pumped and ready to get started. I'm feeling pumped and ready to get started. I feel incredibly enthusiastic about this new project. I feel incredibly enthusiastic about this new project. I'm feeling lively and eager to do something fun. I'm feeling lively and eager to do something fun. I feel so energized after getting some good news. I feel so energized after getting some good news. I'm feeling inspired to try something completely different. I'm feeling inspired to try something completely different. I feel completely surprised by how things turned out. I feel completely surprised by how things turned out. I'm feeling shocked after hearing that unexpected news. I'm feeling shocked after hearing that unexpected news. I feel genuinely amazed at how quickly everything changed. I feel genuinely amazed at how quickly everything changed. I'm feeling taken aback by what was just said. I'm feeling taken aback by what was just said. I feel quite stunned by the outcome of the situation. I feel quite stunned by the outcome of the situation. I'm feeling surprised in a good way, which is rare. I'm feeling surprised in a good way, which is rare. I feel completely caught off guard by that reaction. I feel completely caught off guard by that reaction. I'm feeling amazed by how well everything worked out. I'm feeling amazed by how well everything worked out. I feel quite astonished at how much has improved. I feel quite astonished at how much has improved. I'm feeling a bit shocked, but also relieved at the same time. I'm feeling a bit shocked, but also relieved at the same time. I feel really calm when I take a moment to breathe. I feel really calm when I take a moment to breathe. I'm feeling relaxed after taking some time for myself. I'm feeling relaxed after taking some time for myself. I feel at ease when everything is quiet around me. I feel at ease when everything is quiet around me. I'm feeling peaceful just sitting here without any pressure. I'm feeling peaceful just sitting here without any pressure. I feel completely relaxed after finishing all my tasks. I feel completely relaxed after finishing all my tasks. I'm feeling settled now, that everything is under control. I'm feeling settled now that everything is under control. I feel quite comfortable with how things are going. I feel quite comfortable with how things are going. I'm feeling calm and collected despite the situation. I'm feeling calm and collected despite the situation. I feel at peace with the decisions I've made. I feel at peace with the decisions I've made. I'm feeling relaxed and ready to unwind for the evening. I'm feeling relaxed and ready to unwind for the evening. I feel quite confused about what I'm supposed to do next. I feel quite confused about what I'm supposed to do next. I'm feeling unsure about whether I made the right choice. I'm feeling unsure about whether I made the right choice. I feel a bit lost trying to understand everything. I feel a bit lost trying to understand everything. I'm feeling uncertain about how this will all turn out. I'm feeling uncertain about how this will all turn out. I feel confused by the way things were explained. I feel confused by the way things were explained. I'm feeling doubtful about whether this is the right path. I'm feeling doubtful about whether this is the right path. I feel quite puzzled by what just happened. I feel quite puzzled by what just happened. I'm feeling unsure about how to respond in this situation. I'm feeling unsure about how to respond in this situation. I feel a bit overwhelmed trying to make sense of it all. I feel a bit overwhelmed trying to make sense of it all. I'm feeling uncertain about what the future holds. I'm feeling uncertain about what the future holds. I feel really confident about my abilities right now. I feel really confident about my abilities right now. I'm feeling strong and ready to face any challenge. I'm feeling strong and ready to face any challenge. I feel self-assured when I know I've prepared well. I feel self-assured when I know I've prepared well. I'm feeling bold enough to take a risk. I'm feeling bold enough to take a risk. I feel empowered by the progress I've made so far. I feel empowered by the progress I've made so far. I'm feeling capable of handling whatever comes next. I'm feeling capable of handling whatever comes next. I feel secure in my decisions and my direction. I feel secure in my decisions and my direction. I'm feeling determined to achieve my goals. I'm feeling determined to achieve my goals. I feel fearless when I step out of my comfort zone. I feel fearless when I step out of my comfort zone. I'm feeling confident and ready to move forward. I'm feeling confident and ready to move forward. He's quite tall with broad shoulders and a naturally confident posture. He's quite tall with broad shoulders and a naturally confident posture. She has long, wavy hair that frames her face beautifully. She has long, wavy hair that frames her face beautifully. He's on the shorter side, but he carries himself with a lot of presence. He's on the shorter side, but he carries himself with a lot of presence. She has sharp facial features and a very distinctive look. She has sharp facial features and a very distinctive look. He's well built and looks like he spends a lot of time staying active. He's well built and looks like he spends a lot of time staying active. She's petite, with delicate features and a warm smile. She's petite, with delicate features and a warm smile. He has a slightly scruffy appearance, but it suits his personality perfectly. He has a slightly scruffy appearance, but it suits his personality perfectly. She's always well dressed and takes great care of her appearance. She's always well dressed and takes great care of her appearance. He has a friendly face with bright eyes that make him easy to talk to. He has a friendly face with bright eyes that make him easy to talk to. She has a natural elegance about her that makes her stand out in a crowd. She has a natural elegance about her that makes her stand out in a crowd. He's incredibly reliable and always follows through on what he promises. He's incredibly reliable and always follows through on what he promises. She has a very calm and balanced personality, even in stressful situations. She has a very calm and balanced personality, even in stressful situations. He's naturally outgoing and finds it easy to connect with new people. He's naturally outgoing and finds it easy to connect with new people. She's quite independent and prefers to figure things out on her own. She's quite independent and prefers to figure things out on her own. He has a great sense of humour and never takes himself too seriously. He has a great sense of humour and never takes himself too seriously. She's very thoughtful and always considers how others might feel. She's very thoughtful and always considers how others might feel. He can be a bit stubborn when he believes he's right. He can be a bit stubborn when he believes he's right. She's ambitious and constantly pushes herself to improve. She's ambitious and constantly pushes herself to improve. He's easygoing and doesn't get stressed over small things. He's easygoing and doesn't get stressed over small things. She's incredibly patient, especially when dealing with difficult situations. She's incredibly patient, especially when dealing with difficult situations. He speaks very clearly and gets straight to the point. He speaks very clearly and gets straight to the point. She tends to speak quite softly, but people always listen when she talks. She tends to speak quite softly, but people always listen when she talks. He's very articulate and explains things in a way that's easy to understand. He's very articulate and explains things in a way that's easy to understand. She often pauses to think before she speaks, which makes her sound very thoughtful. She often pauses to think before she speaks, which makes her sound very thoughtful. He can be quite direct, which some people appreciate and others don't. He can be quite direct, which some people appreciate and others don't. She's a great listener and always responds in a meaningful way. She's a great listener and always responds in a meaningful way. He has a habit of interrupting when he gets excited about a topic. He has a habit of interrupting when he gets excited about a topic. She expresses herself really well, even when discussing complex ideas. She expresses herself really well, even when discussing complex ideas. He sometimes struggles to find the right words under pressure. He sometimes struggles to find the right words under pressure. She's very expressive and uses her tone and gestures to bring her words to life. She's very expressive and uses her tone and gestures to bring her words to life. He's very sharp and picks things up incredibly quickly. He's very sharp and picks things up incredibly quickly. She has a highly analytical mind and enjoys solving complex problems. She has a highly analytical mind and enjoys solving complex problems. He's a deep thinker who often reflects on things others overlook. He's a deep thinker who often reflects on things others overlook. She's incredibly perceptive and notices even the smallest details. She's incredibly perceptive and notices even the smallest details. He approaches situations in a very logical and structured way. He approaches situations in a very logical and structured way. She's creative and always comes up with fresh, original ideas. She's creative and always comes up with fresh, original ideas. He has a practical mindset and focuses on what actually works. He has a practical mindset and focuses on what actually works. She's quick-witted and always has a clever response ready. She's quick-witted and always has a clever response ready. He tends to overthink things, even when the situation is simple. He tends to overthink things, even when the situation is simple. She has a natural curiosity and is always eager to learn something new. She has a natural curiosity and is always eager to learn something new. He's very sensitive and takes things to heart more than he should. He's very sensitive and takes things to heart more than he should. She's incredibly warm and makes people feel comfortable straight away. She's incredibly warm and makes people feel comfortable straight away. He tends to hide his emotions, even when something clearly bothers him. He tends to hide his emotions, even when something clearly bothers him. She's very empathetic and can easily understand how others are feeling. She's very empathetic and can easily understand how others are feeling. He gets frustrated quickly, especially when things don't go to plan. He gets frustrated quickly, especially when things don't go to plan. She's emotionally strong and handles difficult situations with grace. She's emotionally strong and handles difficult situations with grace. He can be quite moody, depending on how his day is going. He can be quite moody, depending on how his day is going. She's naturally cheerful and lifts the mood wherever she goes. She's naturally cheerful and lifts the mood wherever she goes. He's very supportive and always there when someone needs help. He's very supportive and always there when someone needs help. She feels things deeply and reacts strongly to both good and bad news. She feels things deeply and reacts strongly to both good and bad news. He's very sociable and enjoys being around people as much as possible. He's very sociable and enjoys being around people as much as possible. She's quite reserved and takes time to open up in group settings. She's quite reserved and takes time to open up in group settings. He easily adapts to different social situations and fits in anywhere. He easily adapts to different social situations and fits in anywhere. She prefers smaller gatherings where she can have deeper conversations. She prefers smaller gatherings where she can have deeper conversations. He's the kind of person who brings energy to any room he walks into. He's the kind of person who brings energy to any room he walks into. She's polite and respectful, even when she disagrees with someone. She's polite and respectful, even when she disagrees with someone. He tends to dominate conversations without realizing it. He tends to dominate conversations without realizing it. She's approachable and makes others feel at ease straight away. She's approachable and makes others feel at ease straight away. He avoids social events unless he really has to attend. He avoids social events unless he really has to attend. She's great at keeping conversations going and including everyone. She's great at keeping conversations going and including everyone. He's extremely hardworking and never cuts corners in his work. He's extremely hard-working and never cuts corners in his work. She's very dedicated and always gives her best effort. She's very dedicated and always gives her best effort. He takes pride in what he does and pays close attention to detail. He takes pride in what he does and pays close attention to detail. She's highly motivated and constantly looks for ways to improve. She's highly motivated and constantly looks for ways to improve. He can be a bit laid back when it comes to deadlines. He can be a bit laid back when it comes to deadlines. She's very organized and manages her time effectively. She's very organized and manages her time effectively. He works well under pressure and stays focused in stressful situations. He works well under pressure and stays focused in stressful situations. She's proactive and doesn't wait to be told what to do. She's proactive and doesn't wait to be told what to do. He sometimes lacks motivation when the task doesn't interest him. He sometimes lacks motivation when the task doesn't interest him. She has a strong work ethic and takes her responsibilities seriously. She has a strong work ethic and takes her responsibilities seriously. He follows a very healthy lifestyle and exercises regularly. He follows a very healthy lifestyle and exercises regularly. She tends to stay up late and struggles to wake up early. She tends to stay up late and struggles to wake up early. He's very disciplined and sticks to a consistent daily routine. He's very disciplined and sticks to a consistent daily routine. She enjoys a balanced lifestyle, making time for both work and relaxation. She enjoys a balanced lifestyle, making time for both work and relaxation. He has a habit of checking his phone constantly throughout the day. He has a habit of checking his phone constantly throughout the day. She prioritizes self-care and makes sure to take breaks when needed. She prioritizes self-care and makes sure to take breaks when needed. He lives quite simply and doesn't need much to be happy. He lives quite simply and doesn't need much to be happy. She's always on the go and rarely sits still for long. She's always on the go and rarely sits still for long. He tends to procrastinate, especially when tasks feel overwhelming. He tends to procrastinate, especially when tasks feel overwhelming. She plans her days carefully and likes to stay organized. She plans her days carefully and likes to stay organized. He's very loyal and always stands by the people he cares about. He's very loyal and always stands by the people he cares about. She builds strong relationships and keeps in touch with people over time. She builds strong relationships and keeps in touch with people over time. He's supportive and encourages others to do their best. He's supportive and encourages others to do their best. She values honesty and expects the same from those around her. She values honesty and expects the same from those around her. He can be quite protective of his close friends and family. He can be quite protective of his close friends and family. She's understanding and rarely judges people too quickly. She's understanding and rarely judges people too quickly. He sometimes struggles to trust others fully. He sometimes struggles to trust others fully. She makes an effort to stay connected, even when life gets busy. She makes an effort to stay connected, even when life gets busy. He's generous with his time and always willing to help out. He's generous with his time and always willing to help out. She surrounds herself with positive people who lift her up. She surrounds herself with positive people who lift her up. Overall, he comes across as a very genuine and down-to-earth person. Overall, he comes across as a very genuine and down-to-earth person. She leaves a strong impression thanks to her confidence and presence. She leaves a strong impression thanks to her confidence and presence. He seems like someone you can rely on in any situation. He seems like someone you can rely on in any situation. She gives off a very positive and uplifting energy. She gives off a very positive and uplifting energy. He comes across as thoughtful and easy to get along with. He comes across as thoughtful and easy to get along with. She strikes me as someone who knows exactly what she wants in life. She strikes me as someone who knows exactly what she wants in life. He has a calm and reassuring presence that people appreciate. He has a calm and reassuring presence that people appreciate. She seems like a well-rounded person with a good balance in life. She seems like a well-rounded person with a good balance in life. He gives the impression of being both capable and dependable. He gives the impression of being both capable and dependable. She comes across as warm, genuine, and easy to talk to. She comes across as warm, genuine, and easy to talk to. I tend to make friends quite easily because I'm naturally open and curious about other people's experiences. I tend to make friends quite easily because I'm naturally open and curious about other people's experiences. Most of my closest friendships developed gradually over time rather than happening instantly. Most of my closest friendships developed gradually over time rather than happening instantly. I stay in touch with my old friends by sending voice notes and arranging the occasional catch-up when our schedules allow. I stay in touch with my old friends by sending voice notes and arranging the occasional catch-up when our schedules allow. I value friendships where we can speak honestly without feeling judged or misunderstood. I value friendships where we can speak honestly without feeling judged or misunderstood. I've drifted away from a few people over the years, mainly because our lifestyles started moving in different directions. I've drifted away from a few people over the years, mainly because our lifestyles started moving in different directions. I don't need a huge social circle. I'd rather have a few solid friendships that I can genuinely rely on. I don't need a huge social circle. I'd rather have a few solid friendships that I can genuinely rely on. I make an effort to check in on my friends regularly, especially if I know they're going through a difficult period. I make an effort to check in on my friends regularly, especially if I know they're going through a difficult period. Some of my strongest friendships were formed during challenging times when we had to support each other. Some of my strongest friendships were formed during challenging times when we had to support each other. I appreciate friends who respect my boundaries and understand that I sometimes need space to recharge. I appreciate friends who respect my boundaries and understand that I sometimes need space to recharge. As I've grown older, I've become more selective about who I invest my time and energy in socially. As I've grown older, I've become more selective about who I invest my time and energy in socially. At the weekend, I usually try to make plans in advance, so I have something to look forward to after a busy week. At the weekend, I usually try to make plans in advance, so I have something to look forward to after a busy week. I often meet up with friends for coffee on Saturday mornings, as it's a relaxed way to catch up properly. I often meet up with friends for coffee on Saturday mornings, as it's a relaxed way to catch up properly. Some weekends are packed with social events, while others are deliberately kept low-key so I can recharge. Some weekends are packed with social events, while others are deliberately kept low-key so I can recharge. If the weather is decent, I prefer spending time outdoors rather than staying inside all day. If the weather is decent, I prefer spending time outdoors rather than staying inside all day. I occasionally host small gatherings at my place, especially when we want a quieter alternative to going out. I occasionally host small gatherings at my place, especially when we want a quieter alternative to going out. On Friday evenings, I like to unwind with a casual dinner rather than anything too formal or structured. On Friday evenings, I like to unwind with a casual dinner rather than anything too formal or structured. I sometimes turn down invitations if I'm feeling drained, as I've learnt not to overcommit myself. I sometimes turn down invitations if I'm feeling drained, as I've learnt not to overcommit myself. A spontaneous plan can often turn into the most memorable part of the weekend. A spontaneous plan can often turn into the most memorable part of the weekend. I enjoy weekends that strike a balance between socialising and having time to myself. I enjoy weekends that strike a balance between socialising and having time to myself. By Sunday night, I usually start preparing mentally for the week ahead, while reflecting on how I spent my free time. By Sunday night, I usually start preparing mentally for the week ahead, while reflecting on how I spent my free time. I sometimes feel slightly nervous when meeting new people, but I try not to let it show. I sometimes feel slightly nervous when meeting new people, but I try not to let it show. When I'm introduced to someone for the first time, I usually start with light conversation before moving into deeper topics. When I'm introduced to someone for the first time, I usually start with light conversation before moving into deeper topics. I find it easier to connect with new people when we discover a shared interest early on. I find it easier to connect with new people when we discover a shared interest early on. In social settings, I make a conscious effort to include anyone who seems left out of the conversation. In social settings, I make a conscious effort to include anyone who seems left out of the conversation. I tend to ask open-ended questions because they keep the interaction flowing naturally. I tend to ask open-ended questions because they keep the interaction flowing naturally. First impressions matter to me, but I also understand that they don't always tell the full story. First impressions matter to me, but I also understand that they don't always tell the full story. I'm more comfortable in smaller groups where conversations feel more personal and less rushed. I'm more comfortable in smaller groups where conversations feel more personal and less rushed. If the atmosphere feels relaxed, I can be surprisingly talkative and expressive. If the atmosphere feels relaxed, I can be surprisingly talkative and expressive. I appreciate when someone listens attentively instead of waiting for their turn to speak. I appreciate when someone listens attentively instead of waiting for their turn to speak. Over time, I've become more confident in social situations and less worried about saying the perfect thing. Over time, I've become more confident in social situations and less worried about saying the perfect thing. I would describe myself as more of an introvert, as I feel energized by meaningful one-to-one conversations rather than large gatherings. I would describe myself as more of an introvert, as I feel energized by meaningful one-to-one conversations rather than large gatherings. Although I enjoy social events, I usually need some quiet time afterwards to recharge properly. Although I enjoy social events, I usually need some quiet time afterwards to recharge properly. In big groups, I tend to observe first before gradually joining the conversation once I feel comfortable. In big groups, I tend to observe first before gradually joining the conversation once I feel comfortable. I admire people who can effortlessly work a room, but that kind of social confidence doesn't come naturally to me. I admire people who can effortlessly work a room, but that kind of social confidence doesn't come naturally to me. When I'm with close friends, however, I can be surprisingly outgoing and expressive. When I'm with close friends, however, I can be surprisingly outgoing and expressive. I prefer smaller, intimate settings where discussions feel deeper and less superficial. I prefer smaller, intimate settings where discussions feel deeper and less superficial. I don't mind attending lively events occasionally, as long as I'm not expected to stay for hours. I don't mind attending lively events occasionally, as long as I'm not expected to stay for hours. Over the years, I've learned to embrace my social style instead of comparing it to others. Over the years, I've learned to embrace my social style instead of comparing it to others. I sometimes decline invitations simply because I know I'll feel overwhelmed in a crowded environment. I sometimes decline invitations simply because I know I'll feel overwhelmed in a crowded environment. At this stage in my life, I prioritize social interactions that feel genuine rather than those that are purely for appearances. At this stage in my life, I prioritize social interactions that feel genuine rather than those that are purely for appearances. I don't go to parties every weekend, but I genuinely enjoy them when the atmosphere feels welcoming and relaxed. I don't go to parties every weekend, but I genuinely enjoy them when the atmosphere feels welcoming and relaxed. I usually prefer house parties over crowded venues because conversations are easier to have without shouting. I usually prefer house parties over crowded venues because conversations are easier to have without shouting. When I attend a celebration, I make an effort to socialize rather than just sticking to the people I already know. When I attend a celebration, I make an effort to socialize rather than just sticking to the people I already know. I'm not always the last person to leave, but I do like to stay long enough to enjoy the best part of the evening. I'm not always the last person to leave, but I do like to stay long enough to enjoy the best part of the evening. I appreciate events that are well organized, where everything runs smoothly without feeling too rigid. I appreciate events that are well organized, where everything runs smoothly without feeling too rigid. Birthday parties and milestone celebrations tend to feel more meaningful than random nights out. Birthday parties and milestone celebrations tend to feel more meaningful than random nights out. I sometimes feel slightly awkward at formal events until I find someone I connect with naturally. I sometimes feel slightly awkward at formal events until I find someone I connect with naturally. I enjoy themed parties because they give everyone something fun to talk about straight away. I enjoy themed parties because they give everyone something fun to talk about straight away. As I've got older, I've started valuing quality conversations at gatherings more than loud music and late nights. As I've got older, I've started valuing quality conversations at gatherings more than loud music and late nights. For me, a good celebration is less about extravagance and more about the people who are there. For me, a good celebration is less about extravagance and more about the people who are there. I try to stay in touch with my closest friends, even if we live in different cities or time zones. I try to stay in touch with my closest friends, even if we live in different cities or time zones. We don't speak every day, but when we do catch up, it feels as though no time has passed at all. We don't speak every day, but when we do catch up, it feels as though no time has passed at all. I usually send a quick message just to check in and see how things are going on their side. I usually send a quick message just to check in and see how things are going on their side. Sometimes a simple voice note feels more personal than typing out a long text. Sometimes a simple voice note feels more personal than typing out a long text. I make an effort to remember important dates so I can reach out at the right moment. I make an effort to remember important dates so I can reach out at the right moment. Even when life gets busy, I believe maintaining friendships requires consistent communication. Even when life gets busy, I believe maintaining friendships requires consistent communication. I occasionally schedule video calls so we can have a proper conversation instead of rushed replies. I occasionally schedule video calls so we can have a proper conversation instead of rushed replies. If we haven't spoken in a while, I'll often suggest meeting up to reconnect properly. If we haven't spoken in a while, I'll often suggest meeting up to reconnect properly. I understand that friendships naturally evolve, but I still value keeping meaningful connections alive. I understand that friendships naturally evolve, but I still value keeping meaningful connections alive. Staying in touch doesn't always require constant contact. Sometimes it's about mutual understanding and respect. Staying in touch doesn't always require constant contact. Sometimes it's about mutual understanding and respect. Social media plays a role in my social life, but I try not to let it replace genuine face-to-face interaction. Social media plays a role in my social life, but I try not to let it replace genuine face-to-face interaction. I occasionally share highlights of my life online, although I'm careful not to overshare personal details. I occasionally share highlights of my life online, although I'm careful not to overshare personal details. It's easy to compare yourself to others on social platforms, so I consciously limit how much time I spend scrolling. It's easy to compare yourself to others on social platforms, so I consciously limit how much time I spend scrolling. I prefer using social media to stay connected rather than to seek validation from strangers. I prefer using social media to stay connected rather than to seek validation from strangers. Sometimes I take short breaks from certain apps when I notice they're affecting my mood. Sometimes I take short breaks from certain apps when I notice they're affecting my mood. I've realized that what people post online rarely reflects the full reality of their lives. I've realized that what people post online rarely reflects the full reality of their lives. I use messaging apps far more than public posts, as private conversations feel more meaningful. I use messaging apps far more than public posts, as private conversations feel more meaningful. Although social media makes it easier to keep up with acquaintances, it can't replace real conversations. Although social media makes it easier to keep up with acquaintances, it can't replace real conversations. I try to be present when I'm out with friends instead of constantly checking my phone. I try to be present when I'm out with friends instead of constantly checking my phone. Maintaining a healthy balance between online activity and real-world experiences is something I actively work on. Maintaining a healthy balance between online activity and real-world experiences is something I actively work on. I sometimes overthink things I've said in conversations long after the moment has passed. I sometimes overthink things I've said in conversations long after the moment has passed. There have been occasions when I completely forgot someone's name right after being introduced. There have been occasions when I completely forgot someone's name right after being introduced. I once misread a situation and started laughing at the wrong moment, which was incredibly awkward. I once misread a situation and started laughing at the wrong moment, which was incredibly awkward. If a conversation becomes uncomfortable, I usually try to steer it in a lighter direction. If a conversation becomes uncomfortable, I usually try to steer it in a lighter direction. I've accidentally interrupted people before and had to quickly apologise to smooth things over. I've accidentally interrupted people before and had to quickly apologise to smooth things over. When silence falls unexpectedly in a group setting, I feel a subtle pressure to fill the gap. When silence falls unexpectedly in a group setting, I feel a subtle pressure to fill the gap. I occasionally struggle with small talk, especially when I have nothing in common with the other person. I occasionally struggle with small talk, especially when I have nothing in common with the other person. There have been times when I misunderstood a joke and reacted too seriously. There have been times when I misunderstood a joke and reacted too seriously. If I sense tension in a room, I instinctively try to diffuse it with humour or a change of topic. If I sense tension in a room, I instinctively try to diffuse it with humour or a change of topic. Although awkward moments feel uncomfortable at the time, they often become funny stories later on. Although awkward moments feel uncomfortable at the time, they often become funny stories later on. I try to maintain a friendly relationship with my colleagues without blurring professional boundaries. I try to maintain a friendly relationship with my colleagues without blurring professional boundaries. Workplace social events can be a great opportunity to connect with people outside of formal meetings. Workplace social events can be a great opportunity to connect with people outside of formal meetings. I'm careful about what I share in professional settings, as not every topic is appropriate for work conversations. I'm careful about what I share in professional settings, as not every topic is appropriate for work conversations. Over time, I've built genuine friendships with a few colleagues who share similar values. Over time, I've built genuine friendships with a few colleagues who share similar values. I usually make an effort to join team lunches, even if I'm not particularly hungry. I usually make an effort to join team lunches, even if I'm not particularly hungry. Networking events can feel slightly intimidating, but they often lead to valuable connections. Networking events can feel slightly intimidating, but they often lead to valuable connections. I prefer conversations that feel natural rather than forced small talk about productivity or targets. I prefer conversations that feel natural rather than forced small talk about productivity or targets. In professional environments, I try to strike a balance between being approachable and being focused. In professional environments, I try to strike a balance between being approachable and being focused. I've learned that strong working relationships often improve collaboration and trust within a team. I've learned that strong working relationships often improve collaboration and trust within a team. While I value socializing at work, I also appreciate keeping certain aspects of my private life separate. While I value socializing at work, I also appreciate keeping certain aspects of my private life separate. My social life has evolved significantly over the years as my priorities and responsibilities have shifted. My social life has evolved significantly over the years as my priorities and responsibilities have shifted. When I was younger, I focused more on going out frequently, whereas now I value meaningful conversations. When I was younger, I focused more on going out frequently, whereas now I value meaningful conversations. I've become more intentional about who I spend my time with instead of saying yes to every invitation. I've become more intentional about who I spend my time with instead of saying yes to every invitation. As I've matured, I've realised that quality friendships matter far more than popularity. As I've matured, I've realised that quality friendships matter far more than popularity. I used to thrive in busy social environments, but these days I prefer calmer settings. I used to thrive in busy social environments, but these days I prefer calmer settings. My definition of a good night has changed from staying out late to enjoying a relaxed evening with close friends. My definition of a good night has changed from staying out late to enjoying a relaxed evening with close friends. I've grown more confident in declining plans that don't align with my energy or schedule. I've grown more confident in declining plans that don't align with my energy or schedule. Over time, I've learnt to appreciate depth in relationships rather than surface level interactions. Over time, I've learned to appreciate depth in relationships rather than surface level interactions. My social circle may be smaller than it once was, but it feels stronger and more supportive. My social circle may be smaller than it once was, but it feels stronger and more supportive. Looking back, I can see how my social habits have shaped the person I am today. Looking back, I can see how my social habits have shaped the person I am today.